Hello, everybody, and welcome to the dojo.
Hello.
I'm Meso.
I'm Var. I didn't hear you say I'm Meso.
I'm John.
Maybe if you didn't interrupt him, you would have heard him.
Yeah, hey, you know what? How about you go away and stop being mean to me?
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
And she's
John.
purple.
I would like that.
Yes.
Yeah, way to say your name, Purple. Maybe you were
I'm purple.
busy.
I didn't hear John say his name, but
Maybe
Yeah, because you were too busy talking over me!
And this
Anyhow.
is Ninjago Cast.
Welcome to
Masters of Pod Jitsu.
Ninjago cast, as I like to call it.
Cast.
What is the saying? Is it like
Practice what you preach.
practice what you preach? I was about to say preach what you teach.
Preach what you teach.
Great quote. Fantastic quote.
that's actually kind of cute.
For today's episode, we're going to be talking about episode 80. Episode 80 of Ninjago Sons of Garmadon, the quiet one. Spoilers will abound, and in this episode,
This is a really spoiler episode.
There are a lot of things.
Hashtag we
A
call
lot
it.
of things happen in this
So
episode. So
if
if
you have not
watched
seen
it, dude,
please do so now.
yeah.
By the way,
We'll
yeah,
be here when
there's-
you come back.
this does say Sons of Garmadon season 8, right? Season 8, episode 80 review. If
Sins
you
of
are
Garmadon.
Sins of Garmadon.
Sins of Garmadon.
If you are in this podcast and you do not want to be spoiled, that's on you. Kind of pretty evident in the title.
GTFO.
Sorry.
Whoa.
But, whoa,
Get the
you
frogs
can't
out, dude.
say that letter.
Frogs out.
Frogs are racist.
Get the frogs out. Who let the frogs out?
Who let the frogs out? That's such a weird
Correct.
song.
Let's get right to business.
Yes. I'm going to go ahead and do a
Parrot's
quick
gone
review.
rogue.
Let's
Quick-
get down to business.
Quick recap.
Could
of
we
the
do a
episode.
thing, Meso, where like
No.
each week someone else does the recap?
No.
Could we?
I
Could we
want
do
to do a
that?
recap.
Yeah,
we
mess
let
up.
people
I
do
do a
it?
recap.
Maybe next week. For that one.
I actually do not want to do a recap because I never remember what happens, and I
You don't.
rely
That's fair.
on the recaps to remember.
But it's
what
funnier if you don't. It honestly is.
It's
I've been
not?
listening-
No,
yeah.
it's not.
It is
It's
funny.
embarrassing.
That is just
That's kinda
annoying.
funny.
All the people who are here for like Ninjago discussion are like, are you serious? You guys are actually gonna try and review an episode that you don't even remember what happened in? It ruins our
All right.
credibility.
All right, fair enough. Meso, take it away.
All right. Episode starts out. Lloyd and Harumi are in the jungle, and they're running from a grundle. Apparently.
For some reason.
According
The
to
humble
Paramount.
grundle bundle.
And Harumi's
Alright.
like, oh, I always dreamed of being with you. Let me cut some vines for you, Lloyd. And she
Oh.
hacks and slashes through the jungle. And Lloyd's like, I'm in love. And they walk through the jungle for a bit, get on a boat, and they're looking for the temple, basically. You cut
Temple
Cuts back-
what again?
the temple for the Oni mask.
Ah,
It's like
Okay,
hidden.
that doesn't happen
later.
till later. You're messing up my order of my gifs. Meso.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. So the other ninja are back on the bounty, and they're trying to repair the bounty, and they're like, "Oh, give me the wrench and the pliers and the stuff and the things." And then Pixel's like, "Oh, I want to help." And then Nia finds the Samurai X mech, and she's like, "Oh, it's your suit, Nia." And Nia's like, "No, it's your suit now, Pixel." And they're like, "Oh,
No.
Aw,
happy
that's great.
for you.
The sisterhood.
No, your suit."
Your suit.
And I'm like, what a well-crafted, detailed friendship with two rock-solid characters who don't have a single plot hole whatsoever. I can really get behind this. Then Pixel's stressing out for some reason about how, oh, would you like me better when I was just an AI? Because I don't want to be in the computer. I like having a body. And we're like, but weren't you operating Samurai X?
We'll get to that
While
later.
you
Just
were
realize it.
Can't you
in the
do
computer?
both?
Weren't you like helping the ninja while Samurai X was active a little bit ago? And I'm like, oh.
Messa, plot holes. Stop.
No,
Please,
sorry,
keep
it's
going,
just-
keep going,
Quit
keep going.
questioning
Just a kid's show. So, you know, after a bit, the Sons of
What's so passive aggressive? Oh, I forgot. It's a kids show.
Listen, you have to choose between doing something fun and something cool.
And then suddenly, the Babby shows up. And he's walking around
Cute.
going, I got Babby stuff. And then he's like, oh, Ninja never quit. And they're like, it must be Woo, because he
Those
said
are some
3
real
words.
complicated consonant sounds for a baby.
Yes.
I know, like the
Ninja
baby grew
never
up
quit.
pretty quickly in terms of like being able to say complicated sentences and know what he's talking
Yeah.
about.
And they do address that. They're like, oh, Wu got hit by the reversal blade, and now it's wearing off, so he's aging at a rapid pace.
We totally called it, dude. We
Totally
all
called it,
got that
by
right,
the way. And then, after a little bit, the Sons of Garmadon show up, and they reveal the whole time that they're not actually called the Sons of Garmadon. That was just a trick. They're actually called the Sons of Wu. And they're using Wu as a vessel to revitalize the real greatest villain of Ninjago.
Did I miss
What?
something?
The real greatest villain of Ninjago was Tech Wu from Rebooted.
Oh, you're doing a bit.
He was
Okay, is he
underutilized
doing his
and
bit?
underloved.
You
Guys,
really confused me for a second.
Remember
there.
how we're like, we can't have someone else do it because it would ruin our credibility? Because people
So the
won't know
Sons
what
of Wu want to use Babby Wu, and they want to just stuff him full of tech to bring back
What
Tech
are we
Wu
doing right
to
now?
give him more screen time.
No.
What
Oh my God.
what are we doing right now?
So,
What's this
I'm
bit?
so confused.
What is this bit right now?
So that was a plot twist we didn't see coming. And then they cut back.
I didn't even see it during the episode.
And then they reveal, oh wait, they put a tracker on the Quiet One's phone call. It came from the Sons of Garmadon's bar. And it's revealed that it was Darth the whole time.
Okay, listen.
Who's the
Are you
quiet
gonna?
one?
I don't know what to switch to. You're ruining my. This bit is going on
Wait,
for
I
too long.
legit did not catch that part of the episode because like you guys were talking, so I couldn't hear
I
what they
know.
were saying.
It was incredible. It was
Oh,
great. Well done.
did that? Okay, so here's the problem with the bit. I can't tell if that actually happened or not.
It did not. It didn't happen. Of course, it didn't happen.
okay.
Come on.
okay.
You didn't see
Don't
Darth one
know!
stupid episode. Look, listen for once in your freaking life. Pay attention to what you're watching.
Why are you being mean to me?
But you guys were talking
Also,
about it.
Meso,
It was a very-
this
Yeah,
bit has been
apparently
going
none
on
of us
for
heard it.
too
It was
freaking
a-
long.
It was a very well-crafted plot twist that nobody ever saw coming. Darth being the quiet.
No one ever saw. Just not even. No one ever saw it because it didn't exist.
I'm so lost right now.
I love it.
Because we. Here's the thing.
So your
Now-
bit has completely
It's
confused me.
derailed the episode because now they don't know what's true and what's
Quiet
false.
Called it
Harumi's the
again.
quiet one.
Harumi
Okay.
is the quiet one.
No, sure.
Like
Skip the 47 gifts I made. Let's go right to the end. Why not?
You know-
Here we go. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this frown. Hold up. It's coming there. Look at it. Look at her face. Look at her face. Oh, it's the evil face. There we go. That's it. That's the episode.
Yeah,
Goodbye,
evil face
everybody.
Harumi.
I mean,
Thanks for listening to
they were-
Ninjago Cast. I'm John.
They revealed she was the quiet one before the evil face.
They did, to be fair.
They did do that. There's a
did do
big
that.
like,
So-
big like. It was Harumi's the quiet one, and then it cuts back to Lloyd.
The ninja have an incredible fight scene where they utilize all of their powers. They fight off the Sons of Garmadon using dragons and air jutsu and spin jutsu and elemental powers. But it's not enough. The Sons of Garmadon have numbers. The ninja are cornered. Harumi and Lloyd wash up at the temple. And the episode's over. Now I have a
That was
question
the most
for you.
confusing recap I've ever.
Now I have a
I
serious
know.
question
I know.
for you.
It honestly was.
have
Right.
a question.
Exactly. Okay.
How on earth
Right.
did my joke about Darth being the quiet one confuse you?
Okay.
Well, not that, but there was a
is
part
that what
where
you
they were
said?
talking about important
Well, here's
stuff.
the deal, Meso. They don't know
didn't know
when
that
you
were
started
saying
the
that
bit.
Darth. I didn't know that you were saying that Darth was the quiet one. I thought like you mentioned that they heard a call and it turned out to be from Darth, and I was like, wait, when did that happen?
I
To be
said
fair,
they
it was
put a
from Dar- you
tracker
said it
on
was
the
from-
Quiet One's phone call, and
Yeah.
they traced it to the Sons of Garmadon's bar. Plot twist.
Which
It
does
was
make
Darth
sense,
the
though.
whole time.
It makes like when you're doing
Yeah,
this bit.
because
it's not
Darth was
completely-
there at the.
Yeah,
Sons of
Darth was
Garmadon's
there,
bar.
and
That's,
that's what the
that's
Sons of
exactly
Garmadon
why I was
were.
making a joke, because it was
But-
semi-plausible.
But that-
My
But that's
joke-
why it confused us. Why are you asking why we were confused?
my jokes only make sense to people who pay attention to what they're watching. It's my mistake.
Yeah.
Hopefully the listeners
Meso,
got it.
you're like me during Let's Plays with VAR.
Yeah.
Wow, purple. Wow.
I said it, and I will find evidence, but
You didn't say that though. You made that up.
Thanks for
I
making
said
this
it.
other bit that you're not explaining. No, we don't know because we haven't even watched the stupid Let's Play you guys were talking about. So
Let's talk about the episode. The two big plot twists, the Babby being Wu and Harumi being the quiet one.
okay,
we called both of those.
we did call both of those
Totally
pretty
called
early.
both of those.
And to be fair to the showrunners, I feel like both they were mysteries, but they left enough clues. I think they expected
No,
people to get it.
This
No,
is
they
again,
it was a mystery that they expected people to figure out.
and that's why they did it so early on. Both these reveals are coming pretty early on into the season in terms of like they're not waiting till like the 8th episode, 9th episode to do this. This is what episode 5, 6.
6.
Okay, so about halfway through the season, maybe around that, they're actually like making this revelation. I'm glad because it doesn't have us like it doesn't string us along for a really long time, and at the end we're all like, it's Harumi. Everyone knows it's Harumi. It's not.
It wasn't like it was the big mic drop moment of the season.
Right.
We all knew.
And also,
And
we
they
are
knew that
older.
we knew it.
We figured it out. I think a lot of kids would still be surprised by this. It was a very good plot twist, I felt. Over time. Especially the Woo one, I feel, is the one that is the
more
biggest
unique
one. Right.
Yeah.
The more unique one out of the
Yeah, the Woo one's
whole
pretty good.
plot. I know some people on Twitter were saying,
I think they're all. I think they were all really good. Like obviously they were for us with our wizened storytelling, like stuff. We were able to kind of
We've
figure it out.
seen
But yeah,
stuff
we
like
watch a
this
lot of
before
TV
with
shows because we're
context
nerds.
yeah, we're nerds. We were able to figure it out. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that they did a good job of kind of concealing it while also giving enough hints for the audience to feel like they were able to figure it out as well, which is important for a mystery. You don't want it to be like a big twist, like it actually was Darth, and you're left thinking, wait, what? Really? Where'd that came out of nowhere?
There was no foreshadowing at all.
Yeah. No, they did a great job, especially with all the color. I think hints were really good, like the phone being green. I think that was a really good hint towards.
They did a lot of hints, like especially to like the timing and stuff. You can see even in this episode, there's a scene early on where Harumi and Lloyd are kind of like, they're talking, they're doing all this. They're going back and forth, and Lloyd's like, "Hey, you threw that knife actually pretty well. What's the deal with that?" And right as he's like becoming suspicious, Harumi then like kisses him. She kisses him, and it's like, oh.
That was really
So
good.
that being said, though, this is kind of a Never Skylar plot where we have the love interest girl character who turns out to be evil.
Yes, but the difference is that
Skylar was a
Skylar.
full-on villain.
Skylar was not a villain. She was
Right. She was
a lackey that was
pawn.
being manipulated. Now the love interest is actually the full-on villain. So that is different, and I think that does create a different dynamic.
I want to talk about this knife throw real quick. I think that it was a very here. I'm going to post this GIF. Very interesting knife throw. Lloyd was saved by the. It was very close for him. You look where that knife is. That was a
It was almost terrible.
Yeah, it was almost bad. It could have cut him. Like had he been dragged a little farther, had that knife not been on point.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting little things this episode that I'd like to pick apart. Harumi had some very odd dialogue on the boat. She was talking about how Garmadon was the greatest villain, but he wasn't. He wasn't the greatest villain. It was the one you never even knew about in the first place. The one that gets away. And then Lloyd's like, the quiet one. And that's why I was going to make my whole joke about how like she was talking about Tech Woo the whole time. The greatest villain. The one you never even knew about.
Well, you could also like imagine she was talking about like his ex-girlfriend, right? The one who got away. The greatest villain you never saw coming.
I mean, she said it like
Soon to be Harumi.
she said it in the future too. And it's like the one that gets away. And it's like when she's talking about herself, it makes perfect sense. But like as just dialogue, like if you were having a conversation with someone, I'd be, why are you being so cryptic?
I know.
What are you talking about?
If you're like, well, can you imagine if you were just having a normal conversation with someone like, man, good thing we're finding this villain. It's like, well, the true villain is the one you never saw coming.
The one that gets away.
I mean, I thought
I'm gonna do that just to mess with people.
I thought it kind of fit because it was sort of like, I mean, they were kind of discussing the merits of Garmadon, right? And like how he was the evil guy, but it almost sounds like she's trying to comfort him by saying, oh, he's not that bad because, there are far worse people out there.
Yeah, but
I think that's
I get
It was
your
clearly the intention. That was
right,
definitely
but like
what
the way the
trying to
dialogue
do.
is framed, obviously it's framed to inform the
It
viewer
was a
that
very
Harumi is also
winky
evil.
I mean, like,
dialogue.
yeah,
and then Lloyd immediately makes the connection, like the quiet one.
Yeah, but it's heavy-handed in the sense that it's trying to help guide the younger kids watching to figure
Yeah,
it out
okay,
too.
I get that.
So I thought it did its job very well.
Also, I must say again, at what point did Lord Garmadon become Ninjago's greatest villain?
He's kind of a cruddy villain, to be honest.
I
Like, he
know
barely
this
even
isn't-
did anything.
He was never the greatest
I
one.
get why they're doing it, but he never did a thing to quantify as the greatest villain.
For Ninjago,
All of his
especially,
villainous
yeah.
actions happened in a filler arc. In the pilot, he was in the underworld. He was a puppet master. For Rise of the Snakes, he was in the other realm and only came back to help them. During the filler arc, he was a villain. And then in the Stone Army, it was the Overlord using him, but the Overlord was the one who everybody saw in the city. He was the giant dragon on top of the tower. You know what I mean? He wasn't in Garmadon's body at that point.
Salty that was never
He was only in Garmadon's body in the evil island that nobody witnessed. So when did this happen? It did, but that's minor.
Ninjago doesn't there's no reason why Ninjago should recognize Garmadon as a great villain. He's been the greatest. I would say he's one of the ninja's greatest villains. And to be fair, they do talk about in the context of villains that ninja have faced. You know, the Great Devourer and other people that they're like Lloyd.
I bet you grew up thinking it was the Great Devourer. Oh wait, Python.
Oh, remember how he kidnapped me when I was an orphan? That was.
Garmadon has been retconned into the greatest villain because he was Ninjago's greatest villain in the movie. That's it.
Oh, did we?
That is it.
Yeah. Did we ever know, like, this is a kind of unrelated, Misako, like, putting Lloyd in an orphanage? That's kind of just the bad mom thing, right?
Pretty much.
Kind of, yeah. Like, especially at boarding
school. Is that actually what happened?
Bad boys. Like, yeah, she just, like,
boarding school.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Misako, it makes sense if Misako is dead, right? And Garmadon's away and Lloyd's at this school for bad people. But apparently Misako was like, I think she was trying to find Garmadon or like trying to cure him or something like that. What was she doing when we first found him? Why did she leave?
I say,
long story short,
Lloyd would become the legendary Green Ninja. Misako left him at Darkly's boarding school for bad boys.
Whoa, wait a minute. Misako knew that he would become the Green Ninja, and Wu didn't?
According to the Ninjago.
Why would she? That's not right. That can't be. That's not
listen,
right.
she was like, listen, that actually makes a lot of sense. Misako seems to be like the kind of soccer mom who's like, no, my boy's going to be the best. She's going to be the starting forward. She's going to be the star quarterback. Like, that's a thing that she would be like, of course he's the Green Ninja. Mm-hmm. Like, she doesn't know, like, from prophecy or whatever. She just thinks her son's a special snowflake.
I mean,
she left him at Darkly's boarding school for bad boys.
Also, he's the grandson of God, so...
She left him at the school so that she could research the prophecy in the hopes of preventing it. According to the wiki, she was actually trying to prevent him becoming the Green Ninja.
Why would she do that, though?
Because she didn't want him to fight his dad.
Okay, yes.
Maybe she sent him there to, like, try and turn him evil, so he wouldn't, like, have to...
But I don't get this. Oh no, you're right. This is exactly what it was. She is a terrible person. She left him at the boarding school to get him to become a villain so he wouldn't be the Green Ninja, so he wouldn't fight his dad.
Yeah, but then he'd have to fight his uncle.
Selfish.
Who she also loves.
Yeah, because
Misako's freaking stupid, dude. I hate Misako.
Misako's the
least favorite character in this entire show. She's the worst mom.
Let's be real.
I hate Misako, dude. I wish that we were recording Ninjago cast for every single time I'm like, I hate this character when we were watching Ninjago over the course of like the entire series, but I hate Misako, dude.
Misako is kind of the worst. I mean, listen, why would you... Can you imagine being like, well, I don't want my son and his dad to fight, so I'm going to send him to evil school. That I'm going to, like, literally, the school is called, like, Darkly's home boarding school for evil.
I don't want my son to fight his dad, so I'm going to make him fight his uncle.
Darkly's boarding school for bad boys.
By the way,
Darkly's boarding school for bad boys.
Garmadon is
actually, no, all right.
It could be Wu for all I know.
It does sound like a disciplinary.
Oh wait, listen.
Misako's awful, dude.
If Wu is actually Lloyd's dad, I am going to riot because that has been an ongoing theory for several years now, and it drives me nuts every time. Someone's like, oh, they both have blonde hair. Woo! Well, guess freaking what? Both of my parents have dark brown hair, and my brother is blonde, so it's genetically possible.
Yeah, but I think the fact that the theory is plausible at all, it's so obnoxious. Misako is such an awful character. I hate her.
Yeah, Misako is like in terms of parenting, she's possibly she's a worse parent than Garmadon. Because at least Garmadon is like... Garmadon's evil, but
Garmadon stopped being evil specifically to rescue his own son.
Garmadon went out of his way to be with his son, and Misako threw him away.
she threw him away to evil school. Not even like a throwaway, like, get out of here.
A terrible person teaches, so he doesn't have to fight his dad.
Oh my god!
Like Garmadon has an excuse too because he's bitten by this stupid snake. That's why he's evil. That's part of his
Misako's
thing,
just
and
dumb.
he fights against it to be of his son. Misako is just kind of like, well, I gotta
Well, this
research
is
something, so
inconvenient.
yeah.
That happened.
Oh my gosh, dude.
What else? Something else that happened that I thought was interesting was Pixel's little conversation with Zane,
Oh, okay,
talking
let's
about
talk about
how
it.
she doesn't want to be
Interesting.
back on the computer. And to be fair, if you don't think about it, it was a pretty cute scene. Zane was like, "Oh, I like you just the way you are." And it was like, "Oh, I'm romantic,"
Wasn't
What a-
that
what a
cute while I was
couple.
watching it?
but it makes no sense. And Lolvar, yeah, it doesn't make any sense if you think about it. The thing that I proposed off camera, I was like, imagine a situation where Pixel is a Samurai X and she's saving this little kid who's about to drown or something. She's just going around fighting crime, but she gets called by the ninja to like do something. So she has to go back into the computer because apparently she can't be in both places at once. And the kid's like, "Save me, Samurai X!" And she's like, logging off. Goes back into the computer.
No, we
And then
were
the
talking
kid
like,
just
there's a
dies.
kid, he's like, "Oh, I'm drowning, save me, Samurai X." And he's like, hold on. And like, and meanwhile, the ninja are like, "Hey, Pixel, can you look up what restaurants serve takeout at this time? Like, can you set an alarm for?"
I kind of
Anyhow.
assumed she could do both.
I thought
Yeah,
so.
when
too.
she's a freaking computer, can she not just multitask?
Well, she can apparently because we saw Samurai X earlier on this season while she was still the AI for everybody. So presumably she can. Now, in Hands of Time, she was offline for a while, and presumably that's when she started being Samurai X way more. But I
Yeah.
would assume she can multitask. I
Var
guess.
said the joke. You've never seen Pixel and Samurai X in the same room at the same time, and that's actually the canon justification. They're literally trying to say, while Samurai X, we saw him earlier this season, we saw her there. Pixel was not active, and then while Pixel was active, Samurai X was not. So
I
doesn't
am
make
going
any
to
sense
say
to me.
something that, like, as it is nice having, like, Var, you mentioned beforehand, it's nice having another female character. That being said, do kind of feel Pixel's a lot more useful as an AI. Honestly.
oh yeah.
She's able to communicate and like
Yeah, I'd rather have Skylar over Pixel.
right, exactly. And I mean, like, I don't mind Pixel having the robot body, as long as, but like, just usefulness wise, she's way more useful objectively as the AI than she is as someone that fights, because
Yeah.
her stuff keeps getting hacked, kind of.
Do you think it's because the voice actress was too expensive or something? Is that why Skylar hasn't been here? Why did why? I just don't
Who's
understand.
Skylar's
They
voice?
set Skylar up to be a main character, and they just didn't go through with it. You know?
It's weird. According to Tommy Anderson, she's supposed to have a role in season 9, the next season, I think he said on Twitter, but it's weird. It's been so many years.
Yeah, it's like I want Skylar
And last
back.
season,
I
she was
really
a
like
punching
Skylar.
bag. She cameoed only to get told how terrible and everything she is. And
Well,
then
yeah,
just vanish.
why do they hate Skylar so much?
I don't know. She totally was set up to be like a main character. Because you're totally right. She was like, that was the whole build up and everything, and her kind of being evil.
I just
and
kind of
not-
assumed
And
she
it's
Her
would be
never
going
told
through
her
that
again.
journey of like being a villain back to good, and very similar to Lloyd.
Nah, I'm gonna go do a noodle shop. I'll see you guys in 5 years.
Someone has to run the family business. Her.
Her.
That's
Oh,
why
she
Darth is quiet
apparently-
when he wants to revive Master Chin to get the Puffy Pot stickers back.
gosh.
Skylar suck.
Apparently, Skylar's voice actress, Heather Dorskin, apparently she was in Pacific Rim.
Oh boy.
But that was before some later episodes of Pacific Rim. When did that come out? Trying to find it here. 2013. So was that around that time? I don't even know if she has a big role or not. She says Lieutenant A. Kadanovsky. And I don't know if she actually has a big role.
Guessing no then. No big role.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it seems she was Runa Stoneheart in Nexo Knights. That might actually be
She
Isn't
was
that
a major
the-
villain for the last
one of
two
the major
seasons.
villains. Yeah, okay, so possibly that could be a reason why they
that
they
might
had
be
to
it.
move on to Nexo Knights. But now that Nexo Knights is coming to a close, she's back in Ninjago.
Well, that makes sense. If they're bringing her back, then yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Actually,
That does make a lot of sense.
Magic says I think she was also in Lego Elves.
She is. She's Regana in Lego Elves.
Well, there you go.
But only in the webisodes. Actually, no.
Oh, never mind.
Well,
Never
nope.
mind.
She's in the TV series
double,
too.
Never mind.
Nope.
Woo,
Yeah.
flip. Prentice says why they hate Skylar. She hasn't been in any of the new sets since tournament. That is a fair proposal.
I mean, but yeah, they could.
But that's
add her
because
to
she's
the
not a main
sets,
character.
though. Yeah, like if she was a main character, she'd be part of the sets.
Right.
Pixel also hasn't been in any sets in a long time, but yet she stayed on as Zane's Cortana and now has a bomb.
Kalinda said that it does sound like the Russian girl from Russian Mech on Pacific Rim, and that actually does make sense. It probably is that character. And also, let's go through some comments real quick. Kalinda does note that Skylar is an OP character, which fair enough. She does, her power set is very expansive.
Yeah, but these are characters that forget their own power sets every other season.
Oh, let's talk about this. Let's talk about
They're
that.
immediately depowered. Like her being overpowered, they could come up with any reason to depower her. They've done it for every other character.
Said the whole thing on Twitter. We mentioned it last week about how, you know, if we have to choose between showing something cool or like explaining why people can't do something, they're going to go with the showing something cool.
Yeah.
And I can forgive that to a point. I don't agree with that as logic, but I get it, and I can accept certain things in moderation.
Right, like I can accept they're not using Airjitsu all the time. Like, fair enough.
Why do they jump up ropes instead of using Airjitsu? Because it's cool. But why would they have a massive fight scene and not use their elemental powers, their Spinjitsu, their Airjitsu, or their dragons to get away from the Sons of Garmadon? Why would Lloyd and Harumi fall down a freaking waterfall instead of Lloyd using his dragon or his Airjitsu?
What would be cool is seeing the ninja combine their abilities all together and using it in new and creative ways to, you know, actually defeat their enemies. That'd be cool to see.
You have spent close to a decade on a show building up these characters' power sets. You've retconned stuff and given new explanations for them, which was interesting, but over time, their repertoire of abilities and skills have built up to a point you cannot just forget everything and have them do basic hand-to-hand combat and then get cornered because there's too many of them on the screen at one point.
Yeah. I mean, like,
you can't
at the very least, to depower them. You know, like, give an actual in-story reason as to why they're not using it. But, like, if they're going to have their powers and they're just not going to use it, it's
the Sons of Garmadon have developed a new elemental power EMP device. They click the button and their powers go out. Would that be stupid?
Like made of Venge Stone or something?
Would it be contrived? Would it be stupid?
Yes.
Would it be like?
Would it be a reason I could accept? Yes.
Well, yeah, part of it is too is that like a lot of the things with the ninja right now is that they are being put in perilous situations that they could easily get out of. That's the biggest issue with that. It's not so much that like you want to see, you know, you want an explanation as to why every little thing isn't complete or anything. It's not even that the fact that like, you know, that you want to show something new instead of something that's been shown before. I understand that reasoning. What I'm saying is that when you put these characters in a perilous position that they can easily get out of, that's when it starts to be like, well, why can't they use this? Like,
it's there's so many. The sake of drama.
They're crash landed. Right? The Destiny's Bounty is crash landed, and they need to get to Lloyd. Okay, so no dragons, no Arjitsu, no anything. They don't even use their elemental powers in these fights. Which the elemental powers should be the base level stuff that they still have. You know, like. In BIONICLE, they always had them. They
did use the elemental powers when they were on the bounty.
They used
last episode. Fight scene earlier this year against one dude, Mr. E. Both Kai and Nia use their elemental powers, but they don't use them against an entire room full of guys.
Like when they're going up the clothesline in the second episode, I understand why they don't use Airjitsu then. They want to show us the clothesline scene, right? And so fair enough. I thought that was a great scene. I liked that. I like seeing something new. But when you put characters in peril that they're not able to escape out of, except they should totally be able to escape out of, that's where I'm like, okay, you're not showing anything new.
It's not real danger. It's
contrived danger. Right,
danger.
Because the plot needs them to be in danger. That's why they're there.
So the way I'll summarize it, I thought, I do not require an explanation for every little thing. Let's get that clear. I require an explanation for some of the things.
Right.
At least one. Tell me why they can't use at least one of those four things, and I'll be placated.
It could have been do you take one of the mask powers and turn it instead of the mask of growing four arms, or what's the other mask? Telekinesis, or the other thing. Make one of the mask power negation. So they're not able to use any of their elemental powers or dragons or anything, right?
Yep.
They put on the mask in this thing, and then they're not able to use their powers. There you go.
Totally accept
Then
it.
the ninja are in peril.
It,
You know,
yeah,
and it is
it
a real
just takes
fight.
out a lot of the suspense when the characters can.
Or
just
have the Sons of Garmadon be wearing Vengestone armor that like negates their punches. Kai tries to do like a fire punch, and then it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of it's when it comes down to showing peril for this audience or showing these characters in situations that they can't get out of. You need to actually tell us why they can't get out of them, because you've built up a continuity of the ninja having all these abilities, an entire range of supernatural abilities that because you don't need them to use, they can't use. That's what feels a little bit contrived.
Yep.
There's another thought I had, but I've forgotten, so we'll just move on. Oh, no, I remember now. Sorry. Tommy Anderson has his Way of the Departed series. After Sons of Garmadon's concluded, I want to do an episode in the Ninjago cast where we read that and then discuss that.
Can we voice it?
Apparently, we should voice it, yes. That is it's his way of explaining some of these lingering questions about the show. He said that an upcoming chapter will explain why they can't use air jutsu. And I'm very excited to read that. That won't fix the other three, but I'm very curious to see his ways of explaining things.
Well, they used their elemental abilities very creatively in the last season too, or not last season, last episode too. That's the thing that gets me is that they still have them, they just don't use them.
Kai can throw up a massive fireball to illuminate the sky for half a second, but he can't shoot at some of the people. You can't try shooting a fireball at Kilo to knock the mask out of his hands. Or Nia can't conjure up the water that's around them to rush the people off the bounty.
I mean, it doesn't need to be every single thing needs to be handled in a certain way, right? We can still have some instances where obviously Kilo needs to use a mask and he needs to be able to get it on. It doesn't need to be completely 100% fully explained. It's just rather odd. The ninja are all surrounded, but they never try to use any one of their abilities that could really help them.
Yeah.
It seems a little contrived that they're in danger, basically.
Other things that happened in the episode, was there anything else that leapt out as being discussion worthy?
The baby was freaking adorable.
Baby's adorable.
Babby woo.
Except its legs are weird though, because they're very skinny, but not from the side.
Ninja never quit.
One thing that left out to me, I know it's not that big of a problem, honestly, because he literally just got a whole season to himself not too long ago. But it's hilarious how main characterized Kai has gotten.
I do want to talk about that. He's every year it just gets worse and worse. And even Hands of Time, he did get a season to himself, but it was shared with Nia. He didn't really have any growth personally except being angry. And Hands of Time also was an illogical mess, so I try not to think about it. Kai is a joke.
Poor
he's
Kai.
barely even a character anymore, honestly.
It's just funny because they opened up the show with him being this main guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you think that he's going to be the main character going into it, and then now he's reduced to having 2 lines an episode and no real plot relevance at all.
He has no agency, no drive, nothing that makes him unique. He is on the same level with Movie Kai. I think they're about the same as far as.
I actually think Movie Kai has got more character. He at least had a quirk, a thing going on. He was the kind of the bro of the group.
Dude.
Yeah, this Kai is he's just a guy.
He's the dude that's
right now, from
brother.
the Kai we've seen he's got stabbed with a fork. That was a major thing I remember coming from him this season. Other than that, Kai has been regulated too, and it's just a contrast. It really the contrast.
Kai's contributions to Sons of Garmadon gets stabbed with fork.
Cole has seen growth as a character, but to be fair, Cole was not introduced as the main character of the show. Initially, it was Kai, and he's now been completely relegated to every line of dialogue is about 5 words, and he just kind of says it, and then he goes on. There's no
Then he moves on. Yeah,
he doesn't even have he does not have a quirk to set him apart. Jay is kind of the spastic, quippy guy. Cole makes a lot of kind of deadpan comments, or now he's the baby guy. He's Woo's dad almost. Zayn has his robotic shtick. Nia has her whole engineer kind of tech knowledge.
Kai offers nothing to the
Kai
team.
is nothing.
He doesn't
Well, I mean,
offer anything.
he
offers
was like the
Nia's
hot-headed.
Distance,
He doesn't
reason
even get
for
to be
being
hot-headed.
there.
He's not hot-headed at all.
No, I know.
No.
Listen, I was saying at the beginning he was hot-headed, and then they matured him, which was great character development. Except now it doesn't
made
seem
him
like they have
boring.
anything else to go with him. He's just kind of like.
Kai's greatest scene, I maintain, it's probably in my top 5 Ninjago scenes of all time. It's in Rebooted when he's driving his car and he's chasing after Pythor and the Nindroids, and he's just like rocking out with his sunglasses and just being a complete idiot and a showboat. That was like classic Kai.
Yeah,
He has not had a memorable scene since then, except the scene with his dad, where he got really angry and he fought his dad.
Well, I mean,
So
I think that was a good.
Being
that
an
was a good
idiot, showboat, show off, and being an angry guy.
Well, he matured
Name me
past
another
those, but they
memorable
didn't give him
Kai
anything
scene.
else. Basically,
Well, yeah, the
That's-
problem is he
that's
grew
where-
past
yeah.
that, but he just doesn't like him being mature. He doesn't really offer anything new to the table though because of that.
Nope.
He's just kind of bland now. He doesn't actually do anything, which is, I mean, like, listen, you can't have every single character be like. the
There's
focus.
7 main characters right now.
Yeah,
I
there's a
feel.
lot of main characters.
So.
There's a lot.
One
to
of
go
them
through.
needs to die. They'll never
No,
do it.
I don't
No,
think so.
no.
I think the reality is, yeah, you just can't have everyone be like perfect. But at the same time, I just think it's less forgivable for like Kai. Like Cole, for
It is.
instance, had no character for a long time, and who cares because it's Cole. But like Kai was the main character at one point, so it's just funny. I don't think it's necessarily a problem per se. I just think it's funny whenever I see Kai on the screen and all he does is say 2 words, and then that's all he
Right.
has
am-
for the entire episode.
I'm perfectly okay with having a huge roster of characters that maybe don't contribute much because the plot doesn't revolve around them at this time, but they'll have their time to shine later. But when there is a character in the show who doesn't contribute anything to the team and also doesn't have any quirk to set them apart from the rest, I consider them dead weight that they need to get rid of.
Well, I don't
Kai
think they need to
offers
get
nothing
rid
to
of.
the
They just
show
need to fix.
besides
They just need to fix
Kai-
it.
He contributes nothing but the element of fire, and he doesn't use that when it's.
Well, here's what he needs. Here's what he needs.
Yeah.
He needs a
Get his
dynamic.
girlfriend back.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what he needs. We need Skylar. That would make Kai that much better of a character. Think about it, because everybody else
Right,
has
right.
a dynamic. Everybody else has some kind of relationship with the other main characters that sets them apart. Like you can have Jay and Cole go out and do something on their own because they've got a certain dynamic together. You can have Zane and Cole or Zane and Jay go out. They all share some kind of relationship that's different between the two. Kai does not have that though.
Except
He
for
doesn't
Nia.
have-
He
He
used
doesn't
to be
have
with Nia.
anyone to work off except Nia. But I mean, like,
In
they don't really
possession,
do anything though.
which we skipped the last half of. Kai, I think we saw the part where Kai had like a big brother dynamic with Lloyd, and he was looking out for him. But now Lloyd's the big brother master guy,
Yeah,
and
that-
like,
yeah.
Kai
I mean,
is the
like,
little brother.
It's hard. It is hard to figure out what needs to be done with Kai because again, he's gone through his maturity. He's reached the end of his arc. He just did it like 2 seasons ago.
He should have died at the end of his arc.
Kai has had 3 separate arcs, and they constantly bring in a new one whenever they need to give him something, and then it's resolved and they move past it. At first, he was the hothead, then he was the guy who wanted to be the Green Ninja, and he was bitter that Lloyd was the Green Ninja. Then he was the angry guy who was out to get his dad. Then he went, and then Rebooted, he was like the showboat show off, and it just kind of goes up and down and up and down. And he never does it.
The thing is, like from what we're saying right now, we do need it to go up and down because right now, when it doesn't go up and down, it's just stagnant, and that's where he is right now.
Yeah.
Well, I
So
mean,
at
I
some
don't
level,
think-
we do need like a.
He doesn't need to regress. He just needs someone to work off of. He just doesn't have any kind of interesting
Like
character
a
dynamic.
special,
have a
yeah. I do
friend.
think so.
He doesn't have a friend. Yeah, like
Bring back
you
Kyle.
can't.
Yeah.
If you were to set him up with Jay and they go out like on a duo like mission, what dynamic are you going to have? Does anyone
That's
have
true.
any
That's
idea?
true.
what
That's
that
true.
would
I
be?
get you. I get that.
He'd be the straight man, the
He'd
guy who Jay bounces off. But they
And,
offers nothing in
what would
return.
be the difference between that and Jay going out with Lloyd? You know,
Nothing.
it'd be no difference. He needs more characters to work with. He needs some kind of balance, and I think bringing Skylar back would be a good way to do that because he needs
'Cause
someone
Kai
else
would
other than
constant-
just Nia.
To be
Kai
fair,
would constantly be trying to impress her, and then like Skylar would like rebuff him, and he'd be like, "Oh, come on."
Yeah, that would actually
an arc
be a
about
good
him
way
trying
to
to win her over again. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that'd be a good dynamic to have.
And
Bring back
she's
some-
like, "I can't love. I'm a senator. I mean, a noodle
Okay.
shop owner." It's like, come on.
Prentice
Skylar is
did
voiced
say-
by Natalie Portman.
I won't complain.
Prentice did say in the Lexio audience, he said, have Kai and Skylar get married and give Nia a niece because Kai as a dad would give him a dynamic. That would be very interesting.
That would be good.
I don't
That'd
know
be
if they would do it
They-
because a dad character as your
They
identifiable character
wouldn't
would be
age
a
up
little-
to Ninja that much. They're all
Yeah.
going to be teenagers.
But that being said, that is a really cool dynamic I could see working maybe in a Never show or something, but that would be really interesting. Nightmare Freddy Krueger says to me most of his interesting moments was when he was willing to kill his father for thinking he was a traitor.
Yep.
Yeah, fair enough. But
Whenever
doesn't do
Kai
anything
does
well.
have a character moment, it's instantly one of the most memorable ones. Like, I remember when he got possessed by, like, the power of Chin's staff.
Dude, that
and he
was
was giving
so
into his
cool.
darker impulses, and he, like,
Yeah,
almost
that was
killed
cool.
Lloyd.
That
I
was
also
cool.
remember him, like,
I don't
moping
know that.
around at, like, the wrestling place, and Lloyd was having to come around and pick everybody back up after Zane died.
Yeah.
I remember that. He can do cool stuff. He can have memorable moments. Just
We do need one thing I would like to have.
He just needs more
is a
character.
season.
He has too many one-off moments. He needs to be
Right.
more consistent with interaction. With
I would like to see a season that's like based around the ninja and their interaction, and like wholly focused while they're dealing with an antagonist, focused on their dynamics and kind of like fleshing that out a bit more. Obviously,
Yeah.
I don't know
Could be a
how
season
interesting that makes
where
for
for some reason they all just like fight each other, or like just
Ninjago Civil War.
yes.
Civil War. Kai versus Lloyd, and then it's like they split down the middle, and then Jay would be on one side and Neo would be on the other.
Oh
You
man,
have to split up the couple.
I like that. I think honestly, I think the idea that the ninja will not age past being teenagers is a mistake.
I agree.
I think that at the very least, what you should do is age them up to where they're the masters now, and there's a new team of ninja.
That's what
That
I was
might
thinking
happen.
as well. That would be. I would actually.
I think that's the best way to keep this going without it feeling stagnant, without the characters feeling like they're not doing anything or growing at all.
The thing I'm interested in is that the Hagman brothers are leaving after the season, correct? Like, was that
They're doing the
confirmed?
next one.
They are doing the next
I
one?
believe.
Okay, never mind then. But like setting that up, I think that would be a really cool way to continue that story, is have the ninjas be the like, and you know, we talked about this at the end of Hands of Time, where they were going to do a time skip, but like you could skip forward. Lloyd is the master. He's teaching he's the only one at the dojo. All the ninja are off, and then like, you know, there'd be moments where like you would see what happened to Jay after all of his time, or there'd be like a masked person, and you know, like you have a lot of dynamics to set up. Still use the ninja, the older ninja, but they would be in this mentor-esque role, and some of them could have, you know, different things could have happened to them over time. Introduce if they do a new writing team that's not the Hagmans, that team should introduce
We
a whole
need to
new
do
pair of
that.
ninja. That would be way better,
There
I
needs
feel.
to be a time skip, definitely.
Well,
That
we
would
can
actually
tell-
work, especially if they're going to bring in new writers, because
Right.
then it's like, all right, now you don't have to worry about the writers ruining the characters. that
New
they
writer,
come up
exactly. It was evident from Hands of Time that, you know, there were some elements that a new writer just wasn't able to get, just because he hasn't been with his characters for X amount of time. And with doing the time skip and everything, you could actually create a new wave of characters, have a new set of people that are able to carry the show, and also when the writers write them, they don't feel out of place. You know, and obviously there would be some fans that would be a little mad that their main characters have gone away. But to keep this show fresh, I mean, BIONICLE did that every 2 years, basically, where they would introduce a new Toa team. And then, like, you would see the old Toa team kind of, and then once in a while we would go back over to them. But we had about, like, what, 4 years where it was the,
It was not
out of the Toa Mata?
original Toa.
Yeah, it was not the original Toa. We had the elder generation, and then we had the new generation, Joller's team and everything, and Naika, Mari, and
There's
then we came
more-
back to the original Toa.
But the Mata were not the primary main characters in Bionicle for most of Bionicle's run, believe it or not. Like, there were more years where they weren't than there were years where they were,
3, 4.
when you actually think about it.
Yeah, BIONICLE worked for 10 years, and they're only the main characters for like 4.
Yep.
So fair enough. Well, I mean, they do have more screen time than any of the other Toa, I feel.
Yeah, it's
but
divided up.
It is divided. Yeah, they like as a whole, it's divided up pretty cleanly. And I do think, yeah, that's the only solution. If you have new writers, especially, people will be more mad that the writers don't get the characters right, quote unquote. Or if there's a bad season, or if there's like there's something wrong with the thing, they will blame the new writers for stuff that isn't really even their fault. When it comes to the characters, they'll be like, the Hagmans would have never written this, and it's like, well, you know, but you can't say that. They might have. The Hagmans have done weird stuff before with the characters, and you know, it's part of the thing.
Nobody's perfect, but they do the best they can.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think? You think we should begin wrapping this up?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Yeah.
I said pretty much everything. I don't-
Overall, if I had to say, I'd say this is the episode I probably felt the most mixed about out of the season. if I had to say that. I feel like the plot twists were executed very well. If they were expected, whatever. But I feel like both of those stuck the landing. But there were a lot of weird moments, both with dialogue, the plot, and the action scenes that just left me to head scratching, and the questionable stuff outweighed the good for me. I also feel the ending action scene wasn't as good as the others. Just to put it mildly, there were a lot of cuts. The one shot lasted about 2 seconds.
I thought they were going to do a better action scene than there ended up being. So, fair enough.
Kai had the best moment of combat, though. He has that going for him.
I'm sorry, hold up. Magic Ninja did say in the chat that they should turn Kai evil, which would actually be very interesting as well.
Oh,
fair
he
enough.
becomes Makama.
Yeah. I can do with a better tool as a Kama star.
I mean, that would be a good arc for him. Kind of
I feel like they teased that in Tournament of Elements, and they
exactly when you get the right
commit
to it, make it happen. It'd be he could be the main character again, except not really, just a main evil character. Yeah.
So then it'd be like Lloyd when he was evil, except it was technically Moro. But I don't know.
I guess when you have a show that's continued on for this long, sometimes
that's these characters are all in the same things.
Yeah, you're right. I'm on this same boat as you were, Meso. I do feel like this episode was the revelations, great. The action and all this other stuff that happened during this episode, I felt were a bit more filler. I feel like we are going to get better action scenes and more things next episode because all the ninja are fighting against the Sons of Garmadon. Harumi versus Lloyd battle is going to happen sometime. So
just you watch the next episode. We'll open the ninja are back into the corner, and then they all do like spin jutsu at the exact same moment.
I know, right? And then you're gonna
like a giant elemental blast, and we're all gonna like be like, "Duh."
I was like, "Oh boy, guess we should have complained too soon." We are watching these episodes as they come out. Fair enough.
Yeah, that'd be the greatest thing ever. You got any thoughts you want to say, or no?
I thought this episode was really good. I liked it. I think that the only problems that I had were mostly problems with the show itself, not so much the episode. So
that's a fair point.
Yeah. So I think this is good. I think the season's still very solid. Everything's been great so far, and I feel like we might have come off as a bit more negative than we actually are.
Yeah. I still love this season.
Is so good.
This is like
still the best season.
The reason we're critiquing it so heavily is because we're nitpicking at the stuff that isn't good compared to the quality of this actual season, which has been amazing.
Yeah.
You know. So
it's pretty sweet.
Oh, and that intro, every time I see that intro again, I'm like, I'm sorry. I know people love the old Weekend Whip, everything, but this is the best intro in Ninjago.
Yeah, this intro is way better.
Yeah, it's just
what's that one episode
amazing.
Where like what's his name? Thompson was like, this is why we like had the intro like this. Did that happen?
That was episode 5.
Yeah, it was the last episode where Zane died.
That was Zane's.
Okay.
Because, like, if you just think about it, in another universe, Zane's cold, lifeless eyes.
I know, like, Zane's
jump up, kick back,
hello? Is anyone there? Do you jump up? No, can't do it. It's too happy, yeah.
Yeah.
If only it was like 1 or 2 seconds longer. But it's still
or if Zane had actually been dead for a couple more episodes, that would have, like, sold that home a bit more. He does come alive at the very end of the episode, so it's like, okay, well, you know, it does fit with the team.
They've already baited Zane's death many times before.
It's true.
Dude, I cried when I saw that. His first death against them. Yeah, that was
how old were
sad.
You?
That ending speech.
A couple years ago.
Wait, how old were you? Hold on. How old are you, Purple?
I don't know when the episode came out. 2013.
Yeah.
2012.
2012. Wow. Really?
No, I think you're right.
Yeah, it's 2013, so
how
that
old
was
are you?
5 years. I was like 15.
Oh, that's I don't know. If you were 12, I'd be like, aw, you know, that's sad. But when 15, it's like, well, he's a teen.
It was an emotional scene. They were doing like flashbacks and stuff. Flashbacks always get me, dude. Oh my
I didn't cry, but it was pretty sad. It was like I felt Zane's death was better than like Matoro's death from BIONICLE.
Oh, definitely. Like, can we talk about how No, we can't talk about it here. But Matoro, that's overblown. His death had no emotional impact on me.
Not that great.
It was like I didn't even realize he was a character. To be honest, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. The Anika out of all of the Matora was one of the weaker characters.
Yeah, no, he totally was. There was a lot of interesting stuff with Matora though that they could have worked with a bit more. Like seeing dead people was
Yeah,
really,
I know, right?
really
That
cool
would
concept.
be that would be like if he was
Or,
like
being dead.
if he was afraid of death and he kept talking to people about death and then he eventually died, that would have been freaking awesome. But I kind of felt they didn't do that.
It should have been Jala.
But to be fair, I might not have seen it because instead of having a TV show,
Oh,
BIONICLE just
dude,
had chapter
well,
books.
If it was Jala, he would have died like a second time. It would have been kind of weird.
Oh, you're right. Oh god, the movie.
But like Takuma, like not Takuma, Takua wasn't there to save him.
Takuma! Takuma!
You did this. It's all your fault. Yeah, then I was just thinking back to like Zane's funeral, and Kai like gave the eulogy speech. So like he has been given like a handful of memorable moments.
It's true. Yeah.
No,
There's been a lot of
there.
emotional moments
For
with
me,
Zane.
it's not that he doesn't have moments. It's that he just doesn't work with the rest of the cast as well as everyone else does.
He's a very solo character. Anyway, that's gonna be all for this week's Ninjago cast, Masters of Pod Jitsu. If you'd like to share your thoughts on episode 80, The Quiet One, please feel free to do so in the comments section of this video or on the TTV message boards at board.ttvchannel.com. And while you're at it, share predictions as well. We've got a few more episodes in the season. I'm sure there's still some crazy plot twists to come. We haven't even seen Garmadon yet, so I'm kind of feeling the rest is going to be very interesting. How it all
we
shakes
haven't
out.
seen Garmadon yet. Man, I didn't even.
Oh, boy.
realize
That's what
that.
I'm really curious.
What
what
is
they're
gonna
do with
happen?
Garmadon. If it's going to be the same voice actor, if it's going to be the same portrayal.
What if Lloyd is actually Garmadon?
Don't want that being
Dun,
plot.
dun, dun, dun.
That would actually be really interesting.
Yeah, like he gets turned into Garmadon. All right, well,
Yeah, he gets turned
So,
into Garmadon.
Does that mean he marries his mom?
No,
Okay,
it just
so
means,
come on.
it means he looks. He
What?
becomes that. He gets the forearm thing. He looks like Garmadon. He
Yeah.
becomes the new Garmadon.
And then Kai's the leader.
Okay, I
again.
thought you meant like time travel stuff.
no.
Or like it turns out he was his own dad the whole time.
The whole time you think that they're going to revive Garmadon, like bring him back to life, but instead they change Lloyd into a Garmadon.
Well, that's what I thought the
figure.
Babby was for.
To
I
be
thought they
fair.
were going to use Wu as like a vessel.
it's because you just watch Harry Potter. To be fair, imagine Evil Lloyd marries Harumi, and who looks exactly like his movie mom. That could happen.
Gross.
Oedipus complex.
So anyway,
Freud was right.
check us out next week. We'll be back to review episode 81. Until then, I'm Meso.
I'm Var.
I'm John.
And I'm purple.
And the dojo is now closed. Farewell, everyone.
Dojo is now no mo.
No mo. Adios.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.